Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. Games get 10 times better when Michelob Ultra is on the line, so race to the bottom of a slope. Winner gets an Ultra. Or enter at michelobultra.com/ultra instructor for a chance to win tickets to the hottest sporting events of 2026. Michelob Ultra, Ultra Instructor, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 plus. Begins on January 30th, 2026. Ends on February 22nd, 2026. See official rules at michelobultra.com/rules for free entry deadlines, prizes, and details.
Every sip of Coca-Cola brings you closer to the excitement of the FIFA World Cup 26. Because nothing compares to the joy. So grab a Coke and drink in the FIFA World Cup 26. No purchase necessary. 13 plus in 50 U.S. states and D.C. with a web-enabled device. Ends March 1st with 8 entry periods. Rules at cokeurl.com/soccer rules.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn and welcome to Away the Podcast. And it doesn't get much harder than our fixture this weekend as we travel to Premier League leaders Arsenal, who are on a mission to claim their first league title since 2004, as well as having won all 8 games in the Champions League on their way to the last 16. They've also reached the League Cup final after navigating a tricky semi-final second leg against Chelsea in midweek, and they are due to take on Wigan Athletic at home in the 4th round of the FA Cup. They've also conceded the fewest goals in the Premier League, and only Manchester City have scored more. But despite all of that, you would think it was maybe going a bit wrong at the Emirates if you listen too carefully to a lot of broadcasters and social media at the moment. So luckily for us, we have someone who can really tell us how great Arsenal are at the moment to really boost our confidence ahead of the game. You will no doubt know him from being chief football writer at the Daily Mirror for over 25 years, I think, but I'd be amazed if you hadn't seen him or heard him on Sky Sports or TalkSport, because we're very pleased to have author and journalist, and maybe more importantly, someone who reports regularly on Arsenal. We're very pleased to have John Cross with us. Hello, John.
Hello, Chris. Nice to be with you.
Yeah, good stuff. How's it going? Because I imagine you're maybe still drying off from that game in midweek.
Oh, gosh, yeah, it was wet, wasn't it? I terribly soaked walking home afterwards, and it was a tense night, really tense. It was a night of nerves rather than excitement, I would say. I thought the first leg was cracking and the second leg. And, I mean, blimey, Arsenal actually only played, a day later than Sunderland, didn't they? So, for once, they can't moan too much about a lack of kind of midweek rest. And, but I do think they put a lot into that game, and that game, you know, I think they went full strength as far as possible, and they invested a lot of energy and probably mental energy in that, because I think it was quite important for Arsenal to kind of get to Wembley and try and get a sort of a first trophy in quite some time under Arteta. So it felt like a big game for that, big occasion for them that night, actually.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it was a bit of. But I think the conditions had an impact on the game. But I wanted to ask how's things at the Daily Mirror, because as I said, it's been a long time now, and I saw you were writing about all sorts. I mean, this week there was a big one about Jude Bellingham. I was reading.
Yeah. Jude Bellingham. Lots of. I've already turned my focus actually to World Cup coverage and World Cup preview. So I think that's quite exciting to look forward to. That's a good one. Lots to talk about sort of ahead of the World Cup, quite a few World Cup features on the go. And it's exciting times actually. So I'm doing, what am I doing this weekend? I'm doing Liverpool Man City. So get around quite a lot really. So, did Arsenal Chelsea in the week, and Tottenham Man City last Sunday. So actually it's been a really good varied, nice set of games.
Well, I was going to say from that, I mean, it just sounds like the dream job, John. You know, you've been covering all these top games, and I mean, how many major tournaments have you covered for England now?
That's a very good one, actually. Quite a few. I've been very lucky. Is this my 8th World Cup, I think, coming up? So I've been there, some years, as you say. I mean, basically, quite a few Euros. near misses in between. So it's been good. It's been good fun, actually. Been good fun.
Yeah, it sounds it with all those games and tournaments you've been covered. But just quickly on journalism, or sports journalism specifically, because obviously talked about the Daily Mirror, but you started out with the Islington Gazette. That's easy for me to say. But I'm of an age where I remember newspapers being the first word and final word. And, you know, my dad used to read newspapers, and I did when I was young. That's where I got all my information from. But imagine over that time at the Daily Mirror, you've seen that whole landscape change. I mean, has that changed for the better?
Oh, I think it's just changed. Things evolve, don't they? I mean, I do think it's quite nice, actually. Even sort of kind of young journalists who sort of kind of now who've been more online and suddenly seen their name in print across sort of titles really get a buzz and an energy from seeing their name in print. So I kind of think that tells its own story, that basically there's still something special about seeing your name in print. I'll never change from that. I do think that in this age, it's quite interesting, a bit of a challenge to kind of listen. I'm someone that's always enjoyed the broadcast side of things. So working across different mediums is fun. Sometimes these days you can get a bit more room. You mentioned the Jude Bellingham piece, you know, that basically that was quite long and basically extensive and kind of, you know, hopefully a bit of thought provoking and listen, gets a longer run. You know, sort of kind of, you can post it online, gets a longer run than the sort of a traditional newspaper piece these days. So I think that, you know, I mean, there's pluses and minuses there, but I think the one thing is that we are clearly evolving. And I think it's, you know, I don't know whether it's good or bad, but it's just different. So things change, don't they, really? I mean, I've got teenage kids and they're not, you know, I don't think they've ever picked up or read a single word that I've written in the newspaper. So, you know, it's just different, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm also old enough to remember Club Call, which used to entice people to call premium rate numbers to access complete nonsense in terms of football rumours. And now with social media, people can get that for free, of course. But just looking at that impact of social media, I mean, how's it impacted your job? Because surely you're fighting with the whole world now to not only get stories out, but to be the first to maybe have a certain angle on a story as well.
Well, I like to be the first to be accurate, really. So I do think that's the thing. But I like it generally. I like it about sort of kind of getting your point out there. And I mean, it's you know, you can get more interaction with people. You can get a kind of barometer. What I would say is that I think there's a real difference I pick up between the kind of the match going fan and the kind of people that shout loudest on social media. So you kind of definitely got to be aware of that. But I do think, you know, across different platforms and stuff, it's nice to engage, to be honest. Listen, it comes with big caveats. You know, some of it I think can be quite negative and kind of all of a sudden, if you pay too much attention, then basically can actually get you a bit down. So I think you have to have a real close balance, I think, personally.
Yeah. And just on the books that you've written, because you have written a number of books, and there was the brilliant one on Arsene Wenger. But any more plans for any more books? Are you still going down that route?
Really. No, too busy in the day job. I mean, I also wrote in another one, which was great fun, Jermaine Pennant autobiography. And, you know, I did enjoy it. And I can honestly say that when I wrote my first book, the Wenger book, it was basically, it was probably the proudest day in my career, actually, to have that drop on the map, just the first copy. It was great. It was a sense of achievement. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Well, look, looking at the game in hand, we have to go back to November 2002 to find a Sunderland victory at Arsenal. On that day, actually, it was Howard Wilkinson's Sunderland who came back from 2 down to win 3-2 in a League Cup third round tie. For a league game, we have to go back to a few months after I was born in November 1983, when Alan Durban's side beat Terry Neal's Arsenal 2-1 at Highbury. Goals from Colin West and Ian Atkins for Sunderland. Tony Woodcock pulled one back for Arsenal. And in 12 attempts at the Emirates in all competitions, Sunderland are still yet to win there. But just going back to some of those days, I mean, have you got any memories of Arsenal taking on Sunderland as a journalist?
I honestly, that 2002 one, I tried to sort of kind of reflect on a few actually before we came on. Looked and that's clearly passed me by. I wouldn't mind betting I was at that game, and basically, but I do remember it. No, I don't. Wow. There was one, I think, back at Highbury many years ago, probably 80s, where I think Arsenal won well, and I think it was widely accepted, my word, that basically Sunderland were very unlucky that day because they actually played really well. It's been. I mean, blimey, I actually remember going to the stadium quite a lot, actually, and sort of kind of enjoying games up there. I've seen Arsenal a few times there, seen different games up there, and I love that stadium. I love the noise, and that's been that's been an experience in itself.
Well, I remember it didn't feel like Arsene Wenger enjoyed bringing his Sunderland side up to the Stadium of Light because Peter Reid quite often got a result against them, whether it was a draw or nicking a win against them.
I think Reedy got under his skin a bit, didn't he? I think he did. And basically, there was one game right at the start of the season, wasn't there, when Sunderland won 1-0. Yeah, very good. I was at that game, and basically that was, that felt full on and a very, intense atmosphere. And so on. Arsenal kind of, really sort of had to sort of deal with it then. And I mean, it's generally been quite a good, and I think feisty game, which was definitely reflected early in the season with the 2-2, wasn't it? And actually kind of brought back memories, I must say, of kind of wow, because the atmosphere is really good on a good day. I mean, please don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's a story for. I'm sure it's a story for absolutely every single club. Yeah. But basically, when things are going well, not so much. But basically, when things are going well, wow, what support, what amazing atmospheres and brilliant kind of crowd noise, and it's great.
Yeah. Well, just on that topic of being feisty, I was just wondering, just to pick one out, whether you can remember that game at Highbury. It was September '96. And I think Wenger had just arrived, or just about to. It was the last game, actually. It was the last game before Arsene Wenger arrived. Pat Rice was in charge.
Right.
And Sunderland had 2 players sent off before half-time. It was the one where Paul Stewart got sent off for basically going up to challenge for a header. And it was Paul Danson, the referee, and Peter Reid ended up on the touchline arguing with him. I don't know if you've got any memories of that one, because that one was a bit of a feisty one that day.
Wow. No, I don't remember. I mean, I love Reedy. Reedy's such a character. Yeah. And basically, I'll tell you what, I'd probably see Reedy most years at the sort of North East Football Writers Association dinner, actually, in Durham. And basically, he's always great company. Love Reedy. So those times are great. We had a bit of a spell. Sort of kind of late 90s without a kind of regular, for a while, without a regular Northeast football writer. And so me here, I actually spent a bit of time in the Northeast and did, quite a few games at the Stadium of Light, which was brilliant fun. I remember going to, Middlesbrough quite a fair bit as well. But Newcastle, but not so much. But Sunderland was great. And I basically remember seeing one Liverpool game with Johan Nipman basically, I think, played, and he was absolutely fabulous. And I'm sure I'm right there, but I remember But I think that basically it's a brilliant atmosphere, and the Kevin Phillips, Niall Quinn season, phenomenal, and it was just amazing fun, absolutely amazing fun. So it's really, see them back there where they belong, I think is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I remember also, I don't know, sometimes when sort of away fans really sort of kind of strike you with, I remember one Sunderland trip to Fulham doing that game, and it must have been towards the end of the season, was it? But Sunderland were really battling and scrapping and just getting the tube, with loads of Sunderland fans. Brilliant fun, absolutely fantastic. I think there's an away travelling support. It's few better.
Yeah, well, it's plenty of time to travel, so we enjoy a drink or two on the way, I think. But anyway, just get back in Arsenal, because I was looking back and going back to May 1986 when George Graham was appointed. So that's coming up 40 years. Arsenal have had 5 permanent managers. Now, if you look at Sunderland have had something like 7 in the last 7 years as a comparison.
Wow.
I mean, does that come from the type of club Arsenal are? Because with those statistics, I mean, they stick out like a sore thumb from the rest.
Yeah, they do really. Well, obviously, one huge chunk is taken up by Arsene Wenger, isn't it? And then also George, stayed there for quite some time. What was it? 86 to 94, and then basically it was. Yeah, I mean that was that really was quite something. You rarely get that. I mean, the one that really sort of stands out is Bruce Real, just lasting barely a year. And I think it's something to be applauded. I mean, Emery only got 18 months really, and which is quite surprising by bearing everything in mind. So yeah, I think it's quite. Yeah, it's quite unusual, isn't it? And Arteta, I must say, I always make the point that Arteta, got the job in December 2019, won the FA Cup in that first season, albeit in COVID times. And I think it was semi-COVID times when they had a really rotten run under Arteta. And basically it was sort of kind of the following year, really. And they lost, I think the lowest point was at a home defeat to Burnley, when basically they, think, where is this going? And actually, these days, a lot of other clubs kind of, Thomas Frank has done it a lot. I'm thinking of another good sort of example, but these days, a lot of clubs lean into Arsenal and say, well, actually, Arteta's taken 6 years. I think that's quite, I think every club and every situation is different. And I think that trying to compare like for like is like, kind of apples and pears really. And sort of, so because, the crowd were locked out, what would have happened if Arsenal had lost at home to Burnley with a full stadium? I'll tell you exactly what would have happened. They would have been shouting for Arteta's head. And basically that's the reality. There was even a few ripples of boos, sort of kind of, apparently, I must say, I didn't hear them at all when Arsenal lost at home to Man United a couple of weeks ago. And I can genuinely say I didn't hear them. And I'm not the only one that didn't hear it. I mean, I cannot believe for a second that was the case. I think it was probably just more ripples of frustration more than anything else at kind of the outcome of the result. So, I don't know. It's sometimes I think there's, you've got to be aware and sort of aware of the set of circumstances, really. Wenger was so reliable and so good for Arsenal that basically why on earth would you change him? I personally think he went on too long for his own good, really. But I do think he was a fabulous, fabulous ambassador for that football club. And Mikel Arteta, if he can sort of add the trophies to the progress then that he's made, well, he'll go down as an absolute great for Arsenal. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as we get to the modern day, I think that's a good time for us to take a quick break. So we'll be back very soon.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Unlock over $3,500 in business and travel value annually with statement credits on select purchases from brands like Dell, Hilton, and Adobe, and other benefits. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Based on total potential value of statement credits on select purchases and other benefits, enrollments required, monthly and other limits and terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/us/leading edge.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
And welcome back to How We're the podcast. And we've just got on to the current day. And just thinking about Arteta, because look, I have mentioned, the last time Arsenal won a league title was 2003, 2004. That's 21 seasons without a league title. And of course, we'll mention the finishing runners up 3 times in a row. But I go back to, I remember when Alex Ferguson was desperate to win that first league championship at Manchester United. And I remember those celebrations, him and I think it was Brian Kidd jumping on the pitch against Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, is that sort of what scale we're at now with Arsenal? I mean, is that starting to hang around the club's neck a bit when they do have a chance of challenging?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I think that reflects the nerves in the stadium. Arsenal fans are getting twitchy. I see a lot of stuff about kind of patronising towards Arsenal, as if like, it's sort of kind of, it's been a long time coming. This is the longest time they've been without a title post-war. So when you put that into context, I think that's why Arsenal fans, I think, feel as if, their time is now. That's why sort of kind of people are getting a little bit impatient. That's why they want it so much. I think the longer it goes on, the harder it becomes. Man United had such a long spell without, didn't they? Basically, as well, sort of, years and years. And I think it becomes harder with each season, with each passing year. So, without a shadow of a doubt, I think Arsenal's first title challenge under Arteta was a pleasant surprise, and they played kind of free-flowing, good football. I think the second one, they were up there and basically pushing quite closely, And then the third year, if you want to call it that, which was last season, I never felt they were truly at Liverpool's heels. And basically, so they're different sort of kind of styles. But this season, they've obviously assembled a bigger squad. I take issue with people sort of saying it's the best squad in the Premier League. Well, it's not the best squad until you win. Then you can say it's the best squad. It's the biggest squad. It's the deepest squad. But basically, I think it will only be proved the best if they actually win a trophy. Otherwise, you'll be saying, well, they spent a lot of money and didn't win a trophy. So how can that be the best? No. If you see what I mean. So I think those are the margins and demands, I think, right now on Mikel Arteta's shoulders. And trust me, he's well aware of that. And I think the fans also, get it. And basically, Sunderland can go to the Emirates, make it slightly uncomfortable, then for them at some stage, then you will feel that nerves and the tension, and that's what Sunderland, I feel, need to feed off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just going back to the start of this season, of course, I just mentioned finishing runners up 3 times in a row. I mean, was there a lot of feeling within the club that kind of pushed Arteta and just said it almost has to be this year? You almost have to win the league. I mean, was it saying that the feeling that this could or should be the year?
Yeah, I within the club, I think they are so happy with Arteta, and I think that's one thing. There's no way, in my view, that right now they can get someone better. But that's not to say that they're basically they want to win. They need to win, basically, because they know that the fan base, that's what the fan base is demanding. They absolutely know it. They've made amazing progress, but I feel as if to kick on as a club, I think they need to kind of take the next step and win something. So that for me is the most important thing. So I think they've got the best man possible for the job. I think the fan base, and there's no way that, a journalist like me can speak for all the fans. It'd be ridiculous. But then basically, I think a lot of the fans feel that, they'll never have a better opportunity than now. If they don't, I mean, what's going to happen? I still think they're basically being reasonable about it. I still think he's the best manager out there. But equally, it makes you think if they don't win it from this position, if they don't win it from a place where they've got such a strong squad and maybe a few teams underachieving, then basically I'm not sure they ever will. And that's a pretty damning statement on Arteta. But I think it's reality, to be honest. It feels like it's now or never for Arsenal. But if they seize the opportunity and momentum, I think that once you've taken that weight of pressure and expectation off the shoulders, I think so many more trophies will follow, because it's so much easier to win when you've got that winning experience, and then also you've not got people saying, "Oh, it's been so long since we won a trophy." So I think that is absolutely key for Arsenal.
Yeah. Well, there's been, I kind of touched on it in the introduction, there's been a lot of talk about almost how Arsenal are getting into the position that they're in. Of course, unbeaten in the Champions League, or won every game in the Champions League and top of the league and League Cup final and all of that. But of course, the emphasis has been on the set pieces and the statistics that around that. But do you think it's just people outside of the club who are even bothered about that? And within the club, it's, well, it doesn't matter. You get results however you need to get them.
Yeah, I think some of the coverage last week. I mean, listen, I've been a little bit critical at times, because I would rather see free-flowing, entertaining football. You know, I mean, Wenger was so transformative that they basically probably don't realise at the time just how lucky you are watching this stuff. It's amazing. Vieira, Henry, Bergkamp, incredible. Lundberg, oh my way, yeah, it's incredible, absolutely astonishing. You know, absolutely amazing. But I think that, you know, there have been times this season where it's not been great. I'm not a huge Gorkres fan. I think basically they signed him, and I'm not really sort of seeing that Havertz has been so obviously better when he's come back recently. So let's see how that plays out. Have they really strengthened up front this season for all their signings? Have they? I'm not sure. Don't think so. I think they're still good, but I'm not sure that they've actually pushed on from last season, if you see what I mean. So, because if you break it down, I think Madueke's obviously a big addition. Honestly, he's been quite good in spells, did very well last week. So, and then also sometimes the football hasn't been great. It feels like the handbrake's been on a bit. But what I did notice was that Arsenal, under huge pressure, went to Leeds last week and won 4-0. That's a hell of a result. What a statement. And I thought, blimey, that's give them some credit. And I thought some people were so disingenuous in the coverage and basically and sort of kind of the commentary around it. I thought was really, you know, I thought was quite poor, to be honest, because I think that's quite a big statement, quite a big win, and quite a big result. So I thought they deserved more credit than they got for that. I think the set pieces thing, if you are good at something, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you use it? And let's be honest here, Arsenal have come up short in the last 3 years, so had to find something different, a different way to approach. So if you find a different way, it feels like you can't win, you know, basically. So, you know, it swings and roundabouts on that one. But, I do think City arguably play better football. But I have to say, a lot of people think that City's football is a turn-off. Well, I just think I can't agree with that. I don't agree with that. So you pay your money, it takes a choice. But I don't actually think the reality is that Arsenal fans will give a hoot, basically, over, you know, how they do it, just as long as they do it.
Yeah. And going back to some of those players you mentioned there, I was privileged to be there when Dennis Bergkamp at Roker Park, in the very last FA Cup game at Roker Park, curled one in from the edge of the box, and I applauded that night after he scored that goal. But actually, just getting into talking about the way they're playing and maybe kind of needing that boost, because obviously you said that Leeds result, they needed it. They went 3 without a win against Liverpool, Forest and Manchester United. Were you surprised that Arsenal didn't actually do much business in January?
Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't expect them to be honest, not at all. I thought the one aspect that they might be on the alert for might have been a loan signing or whatever if they had some injuries, but wasn't expecting them to do any business whatsoever, not at all, because they just basically were did so much in the summer when they spent a huge amount of money strengthened across many positions. They've even sort of kind of let Nueri go out on loan to Marseille. So I think that kind of reflects the fact that they think they've got enough strength in depth. And then obviously, as soon as you do that, then basically Saka gets a knock in the warm-up and Mourinho has to have surgery on his foot. So, you know, two big players, by the way. I mean, Saka is fabulous. You know, what a player and what a leader and personality. And then he's out for a bit. And then basically, you know, Mourinho out for a couple of months. And Mourinho's a big player for Arsenal. You know, he might not start every week, but he's a big character, and basically you need big characters. I wouldn't say that he's quite as influential, but basically he's as close as a leader and as a personality, I think, in many ways. He can't be as big because he doesn't start so often as they've had since Granit Xhaka. So I think Granit Xhaka, who has obviously been an absolute revelation for Sunderland this season, I think basically people underestimated just how big a voice he was and personality. Well, that's Mourinho. Basically, I think in many regards, he's in the leadership group, scores important goals, he's a calming influence, fixture in his national team sort of kind of set up. And I just think that basically he's a great example for young players to feed off.
Yeah, man. We talked right up top about the cup tie against Chelsea, and it was a bit of a battle. I haven't watched the game. But, in terms of priority, because obviously, Arsenal want results in the league, but you're playing Chelsea in a League Cup semi-final where you have to get through and get to that final. So do you think that's going to have an impact on the weekend's game? Because surely the focus and the energy would have this week would have been on that Chelsea game.
Yeah, it was interesting. I actually, just before you came on, I saw a post saying about, Tottenham's rest before the North London derby. They've got quite a break, and then Arsenal, by comparison, haven't. And basically got sort of kind of rescheduled games and what have you. So, yeah, it's quite interesting that, and basically sort of kind of that breather. I mean, I personally think winning breeds winning. I've always been very big on the domestic cups. Basically, Arsenal's record in the League Cup is unbelievably bad. But considering they've won, record FA Cup winners, they've only won it twice. Yeah. So, I think, and I also think you can't underestimate just what a confidence boost it'll be if Arsenal win the League Cup, the Carabao Cup under Arteta. I just think it'll give him such a lift and a boost, and it'll get his strength and belief. But, see what it meant for Newcastle, sort of kind of last season. It means the world, sort of kind of winning trophies should never be underestimated. But where do the priorities lie? Well, I mean, Arsenal did go strong against Chelsea in both ties, but that's semi-final. Look at their previous teams, and that will tell you basically, yes, they didn't rest and rotate. Fully expect them to rest and rotate against Wigan, and basically, keep on going full strength wherever possible in the Premier League games. So, there was certainly no room for that against Chelsea. So I think, apart from Radford Kepa, which is absolutely obvious, there won't be too many other changes, I don't think. So I think it'll be a sort of kind of strong Arsenal lineup to face Sunderland.
Okay, thanks, John. We weren't looking for that answer, but there you go. But you did mention Granit Xhaka, and he spoke straight after the previous game of the Stadium Light, saying he still knows a lot of people and he's got a lot of affection for Arsenal, of course. But actually, it's interesting because how do Arsenal fans look at Xhaka's time at Arsenal? And of course, it's a shame he's missing out. But the other one, John. Do you think that with his time at Bayer Leverkusen, he's actually come back to the Premier League a slightly different player?
It would be easy to say different and better. I think that because of his age now, can you really argue that he's better? But he brings different qualities. Yeah. And I think he's brought a leadership and a respect that other players feed off. I think he's proved to be, if not one of, the best signings, because he's defined, in my view, Sunderland. And when I first saw that, I thought, that's not good. What are you going on about? Basically, yeah, and I just thought, and I bet Sunderland fans were probably a little bit mixed, weren't they? I don't know. It's because he was, highly regarded, and basically, but, he then left Arsenal. I do think Arsenal would have happily had him for one more year, but they left it open to him because obviously that was at a time when they're signing Declan Rice, and you can't stop a player that if he wants to go. And then Arteta really liked him and respected him, so would happily taken him, for another year. Please don't get me wrong, but then he's gone to Leverkusen. And he's had a good time there, really sort of, been so influential in them sort of kind of causing a major upset in Bundesliga. And basically, I think then that he's then, learned from that process. But you're probably thinking, is he coming then for one last payday? I don't know what the attitude was, to be honest, but one last payday, but how good was he really? And honestly, Xhaka's mentality was exceptional. Xhaka's, output in the end was brilliant over that course of that time. I mean, I'll always remember sort of Wenger being ridiculed because they signed Xhaka over N'Golo Kante. And basically, they looked so many times at Xhaka and they'd sort of kind of, they sort of almost put it out there. They'd be known that they'd scouted him so extensively. I think in the end, basically it worked out as an exceptional piece of business. It's difficult when you compare, players, isn't it? I think if you look at what he cost, what was he, £34 million? I think that's great business. He's such a great servant, hugely respected and liked at the club still. Yes, he had a very public fallout with the fans, but do you know what? I thought he handled that brilliantly. I don't think he was particularly helped at the time by the manager, but it's one of those things. But he came back from that, and I thought his strength of character and strength of mind was exceptional. And basically, also he in that kind of first challenge, if you like, was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So he put in some amazing warrior-like performances, incredibly intelligent footballer. And so I think the way that he rode out that storm, if you remember, basically, effectively, being booed off and reacting well, it's never a good look. I think the way that he came back, and similarly, I think he has handled the kind of playing against Arsenal again with such class and such respect, I think, because I hate it when I see players kind of, I'm not a big fan of kind of not celebrating against former clubs because, you're basically, sorry, but you're doing a job and you should be fully invested in enjoying it. So, but I also think that the way he handled it with such dignity and class in that other previous game, I thought was really quite something. And, that's a measure of the man. I think it's a great shame that he won't be able to, play this weekend through injury. But, if he's spotted in the stands or whatever, I think he'll get a fantastic reception because honestly, that's the way that Arsenal fans view him now. I think that, they do really, really respect and admire him as a personality and as a player.
Yeah, such a shame he's missing out of the game of the Emirates. But just looking at Sunderland, John, because look, we are, we're on a magic carpet ride this season. We're 8th in the table, 36 points, 5 points behind the Champions League place. But what have you made of Sunderland so far this season?
Oh, just amazing! What an amazing surprise! I from those early results, I was thinking, I'll be honest with you, I thought Sunderland would really struggle. And basically, from the moment they've won, the kind of promotion against the odds, because let's be honest, they weren't expected, were they? And the way that it sort of panned out in the end was quite exceptional. I think a few people probably underestimated the manager. I think the manager has almost done much better at the higher level than perhaps he left people thinking, towards the end of last season in the Championship. So I think that's the one thing. I think they've bought incredibly well, been incredibly ambitious. Dan Ballard obviously is sort of kind of, strikes out. I know sort of kind of, he's sort of winning awards and getting plaudits as sort of kind of in the Northeast, the Football Writers Association, and basically, so
former Arsenal man as well.
Yeah. And I just think across the pitch, they're well drilled. They're incredibly competitive. The goalkeeper's good, in my view. And I just think it's remarkable what they've done. Really, really, so impressed. And they never give up. And the home record speaks for itself. I mean, wow. That is truly impressive and intimidating, by the way. I mean, they're blimey, they're sort of kind of blindsided Arsenal, kind of, sort of upset City. And honestly, they've done brilliantly this season, haven't they? Not so much on their travels, but even so, I still think that this season has been an absolute roaring success.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talked about Regis Lebris, and he has had a plan for the likes of Chelsea and the big sides when we've gone away from home. And it was interesting to see Chelsea's tactics from Arsenal's set pieces, where 3 players just charged upfield, where they had a plan. I mean, if our manager's done his homework, how do you get at this Arsenal side?
Yeah, well, that was an interesting one, wasn't it? I do actually think, I can't remember which game it was. I should have looked at this afterwards. But that's not the first time that's been done, actually.
Oh, right.
And
okay.
it really stretches it. I mean, I know Shay Given kind of made that point on Match of the Day in some of his sort of kind of punditry around that. And I heard him say it's up to on sort of 5 Live on Saturday afternoon and basically do something different. Yeah. What I would say is that Arsenal, can be a little bit nervous at home. That's the vulnerability. So, because if they don't go ahead or sort of kind of, struggling a little bit, that's when you sort of kind of hear the moans and groans because they're just so desperate to win. So that would be one. I do think the kind of defending the set pieces is massive. Basically desperately trying to fend off Arsenal's big boys, if you like. So I think that's another. It's going to be a challenge without a shadow of a doubt, especially when Arsenal kind of at their fulsome strength and physical best, if you like.
Yeah. Is that what we should be playing into? Because look, Sunderland haven't won on the road since we beat Chelsea a week before Halloween. We've conceded 6 in our last 2 away from home, West Ham and Brentford. So I imagine, the Emirates crowd are going to be turning up expecting a routine home win on a Saturday afternoon. And if it doesn't go Arsenal's way for the first half hour, let's say, then we might be able to play on that.
That's exactly it. I think that that would be the exact thing. I think Middlesbrough will immediately be thinking in the dressing room beforehand, let's, quell the crowd, keep them quiet, basically try and sort of frustrate them a bit. If we're in the game after half an hour, let's feast on that. And I think that's exactly what they can do. That's what Arsenal won't like, sort of kind of amongst them. And I do think they'll probably don't get me wrong, this is not about resting and rotating, but the fact of the matter is they've played a hell of a lot of games. So I wouldn't mind betting that you'll have to sort of kind of make 2 or 3 changes just for fatigue point of view. And then basically, and I just think sometimes if you don't hit the ground running, immediately, that's where you can get at them. I mean, the performance on the break, the discipline showed, and basically the way that kind of Sunderland haunted Chelsea in that game is almost the template for the perfect away performance, isn't it? Because basically, coming back, staying in the game, then hitting on the break as the home team pulled forward. Brilliant. You just didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
but it's a really strong message, I thought, defiant and fantastic. So they know how to do it. And I do think that if you can feast on Arsenal's sort of jitters, if you like, I think that's the way forward, isn't it?
Yeah, still a tall task we've got ahead of us, though. But final question, John, and it's the $1 million one. Is this the season that Arsenal finally win that league title?
Oh, yeah, that's a difficult one. As soon as you don't answer me for a
the obvious one.
Prediction for the game, which is harder. I still have a sneaky suspicion for City. I just think that City are kind of still very dangerous and basically sort of kind of come up on the rails. Mark Gay's a good, I really think it will be. Arsenal should win it from here, shouldn't they? And basically in such a great position.
6
points. I still feel as if that basically City is such a threat. And basically when you look in the wing mirror and basically think, see in the rear view mirror that City kind of still there on the rails, basically. I think that is what will make Arsenal nervous because they've done it before and can do it again. I think it's such an amazing opportunity for Arsenal.
Yeah. No, well, I didn't ask you for a prediction because, I think anyone really who hasn't got the heart of a Sunderland fan will predict only one type of result this weekend.
No, I just feel as if, there have been occasions. Look at Wolves. Look at Arsenal Wolves. I think that is a lesson in people turning up, whether that's the crowd, the management, or the players in basic expecting to win. That's your lesson.
Yeah.
So I think Arsenal have been pretty phenomenal at times this season, but they're absolutely not invincible. And even though they came through that Wolves game, my word, that was a scare. And basically you could feel the tension, honestly. make them tense in the first 20 minutes, and then basically then you've got a game on your hand.
Yeah, well, that's why we love football, isn't it? But
absolutely, it is.
Did you mention were you covering the game on Saturday?
No, I'm not at the game. I will be. I'm not covering the game, but I will be following it very intently because I'm at City Liverpool on Sunday working there.
Good stuff. Well, I hope you enjoy your weekend. And it just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time, John. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the season as well.
And you.
Good stuff. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Don't forget, we will, of course, have immediate reaction after the final whistle with a pod that should drop very soon after. And we'll have all the build-up and reaction on the Roker Report website as well. So look out for all of that. But from us, it's bye for now.